Okay, welcome to Watercolor Studio 42, and I got today a picture that I'm doing that I started a little bit ahead of time. It's one of those kind of out in the desert, botanical deserts, similar to what you'd find probably around Arizona and New Mexico and so forth. And the cactus plant, there's a special name for them, but I can't quite catch what it is right at the moment. But anyways, this is kind of the picture. And what I did here is I filled in most of the plant itself ahead of time, because that would have taken a little bit longer, because I use a marker rather than the regular watercolor paint. So I got that kind of filled in, and so most of it's doing the ground and doing the sky. And the sky is a little bit tricky. You can see that it's multicolored here, a combination of real blue, cool colors, and along with the yellows and orange and pinks and so forth. A lot of pink in there. So I have to be careful how I manage this a little bit, and for the background. And so we'll see what happens. Now, a lot of times when I have a picture, I use a picture kind of as a reference, but that doesn't mean to say that I'm going to copy it exactly. In fact, I don't think anyone could say I ever copied their photographs, because I changed them quite a bit, color-wise, and leaving in things, putting in things, and whatnot, adjusting the landscape a little bit, moving the trees around, this type of thing, adding something, leaving something out, taking something out, you know, that type of thing. So what I'm doing is using just the photograph mostly as a kind of a reference, and you really can't do some of these sunsets justice, because a lot of times you'll be out there, it's a beautiful sunset, and you try to take a picture of it, but your photograph never comes out as effective as the actual sunset. No matter what kind of camera you use, it's never the same as looking at the real thing. So anyways, so I'm going to be starting with that. Now, for the most part, you could consider what I'm doing here is mostly predominantly a sky painting. It does have the cactus plant in there and a few little shrubs and so forth. But for the most part, this is going to be the sky that really makes the painting. So we'll see what we can do with that. Now, I think I might start off with a pale, sort of a pale wash. Get some of those lighter colors in there, and that, because I can always go over the lighter color with darker shades. I have a tendency sometimes to start out too light, and I don't have time to finish, coming in with a darker painting. This one back here I worked on, cleaned that one up. I think I did that a couple of weeks ago. So anyways, let's wet the paper just with water. Put some water on the background here. Look, this is predominantly going to be a sky painting. It's definitely a sky painting, predominantly, even though the cactus plant is kind of the subject of the picture. The big thing, what makes the painting, is actually doing the color of the sunset or the sunrise. I would assume it's a sunset. We'll call it a sunset. It's kind of hard to tell. What I'm doing now is just wetting the paper. They call it like a wash of color. And I could start off probably, like I said, I could do some yellows first. Put some yellow in there. And that's usually across the bottom that looking at the photograph I have, that's a little bit of yellow that's right across into here. You notice I'm going across the my painting here, my marker. Just put some of that in there. A little bit of a background. It's almost impossible to duplicate some of these skies. I mean, in some cases, I don't even try to duplicate it. I could get a little bit close to whatever the color is, but it's very hard to duplicate it. I'm putting some. I started off with Gambo's yellow, but I can put a little bit of raw sienna in there. Just a little bit across in there. Down through here. You can come in fairly strong with your colors. I'm going right over the plant here. You come in pretty strong with color. Now, let's take a little bit of that red. I put a little bit of pink in there. You know, when you put the red on yellow, of course, it's going to turn orange. In the picture, there's quite a bit of pink. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that the way I want it to be. Now, a lot of times when you start out, you're doing a painting, you wet the paper. But what happens is the paint goes wet into wet, you know, so it kind of fades away a little bit. Okay, put that like that. Borrow a little paper towel. I'm running out of paper towels. I think I got one roll somewhere at home, but didn't bring it. I'm just kind of making these clouds. They're very soft edge clouds. Very soft edge. And if I have too much in one spot, I just kind of run the brush there, pick up some of the color. Want to get that a little bit more pink in there. We can try that, see if I can get some pink in there. Oh, there we go. Oh, thank you. There you go. We got some extra paper towel. I don't always get to the store sometimes to pick up the towel, so sometimes I'm running low. Here we go. All right. Austin just bailed me out with paper towels. Now, let's see what else we need here. Like I said, I'm just putting the wash right over the ink, and if the color's too much, I just blot it while it's still wet. Okay. Now, there was some splashes of blue in there. I could still get some of that back. I'm using the brush like a sponge. I do that all the time. Paper towel in one hand, the brush in the other. See what we have here. Okay. You can never get the paper back to white again, but you can certainly pick up the pigment and make it a lot lighter, what I'm doing right now. And maybe as we go along here, I can come back a little bit later and put some blue back into that, because there is a smattering of blue. But this is a painting that has very, very soft edges of cloud. I've got more orange than I have pink. Hopefully I can get some pink in here eventually. The pink that I think I might use is my old standby alizarin crimson. And you'll find that a lot of times, if you look at some of my artwork at the museums or wherever you might find it, that I always introduce there's some pink in my paintings, and it's usually, the pinks are usually more or less alizarin crimson, and they do have, they call it quinac, oh yeah, can't say it, quinac, okay. Oh, I got some pink back. Oh, well, that's up in there. Quinacridone rose. There you go. Okay. Couldn't get my tongue wrapped around that one. Here we go. Pink. Soft pinks. Yeah, just give that a little bit. This is soft, so I'm going to be introducing some red into that too. Blue, rather. I'm looking at red and saying red. Okay, let's put a little bit more of that up there. I like that color. Now, when you first put watercolors down, they tend to look as if they're going to be too bright or too heavy a color. But once they dry out, then they're not so bad. Now, I got a little messy towel. Okay. Thanks to Austin, I got some more towel here. Okay. Now what I'm going to do here is just see if I can pick up some of that pigment, because I want to work some of the blues into that also. Get that working. Okay, I'm going to try to kind of spread this out a bit over here. Now, some people just specialize in doing sky paintings. That's their specialty. I don't mind doing skies, but I don't kind of do it as much as I probably should. I don't really just do sky paintings per se. Do a little bit of everything. I like older things, you know, just old mills, grist mills, covered bridges, things like that. Gold miners' shacks, you know. You know, there's a lot of things out there that every so often they uncover something. They find something back in the woods. There's a program on TV, they're always looking for Bigfoot. And I'm not quite sure what's out there, but it's amazing what it might be. Okay. I'm going to come back in here, get some more water on the brush, and I'm going to see if I can pull some of this out in through here. Pull. This is a sky painting, though. It really is. May have to fill this in a little bit more later on. I do have some of that sepia. They have dark brown, but I also have black that I can use too. Paint's gray, but it's quite dark color. Fill this in a little bit more. I think I'll use some of that across the bottom too. I'm just checking it out, see how it's. We'll fill in some of that ink. Yeah, that seems to be okay. Now, where are we? Okay. Now I'm going to come back in here. I'm trying to let that sky do certain things on its own, you know? Let the paint kind of float around there a bit. Sometimes I tilt the picture. I'm painting it flat today, so what's going to happen is the color just dries in, you know? It may form some stains, little watercolor stains. If they look okay, I'll leave them in. Okay, let's see what else we can do here. I think I'm going to go up into here more too. Get some more pink. Make it lighter pink because I got to get more of that blue sky into this whole section up in the corner there. If I'm going to try to get the same effect as the camera it got, which is a little bit tricky here. This guy has a lot of movement and a lot of different variations of shapes and things, little things happening down and through here. Take some of the edges off and soften the edges. Okay, I'm going to be coming back into this. Now, while I'm letting this set up a little bit, take some of this, soften the edges out. Now, what I want to do is put some shading in here. It looks like the background is sort of a make it a little darker. See what happened there? Ah. There you go. Yeah, that's a lot of purple. You know, a lot of purple in that. But with watercolor, you can do a lot of improvising a bit. I can get this color in as the background. And in this photograph, it's got a little bit more red to it. Even get some red into that. Pink. See what I can do here. This is like mixing paint on the paper, on the surface here. Bring the paint right down to the corner of the paper into the tape. Now I would imagine some of this ground color, it could be from the filter on the camera, but also it could be the reflection of the sky on some of the plants also. It's like a special effect anyways, what it's doing. Put a little bit, dab some of the texture up in here. Okay. Now I'm getting that a little bit similar to the color, but in the photograph it's a lot lighter, so what I can do is lift some of that out. Get it a little bit lighter through here. Pull some of that out. Okay, now I'm trying to let some of this sky kind of dry, because I want to eventually cut into it and put maybe some clouds that have a little bit more shape and form. Right now, what's happening here, we got a lot of just a soft color. See what we got up in here. Okay, let's try. I can do this corner, I guess. Now that's kind of stark. That's really very strong blue. So we'll kind of add some red into that. And I'm just going to kind of pull that around. Mix it into the pink here. You kind of have to use a larger brush when you're doing this. You'd work forever if you're trying to use a smaller brush. Get some things coming in. Work it around out here. Go to, excuse me, go to the corner. I put some tape around the edges so it makes it look like a false matte when I pull the tape off. But you do have to get some color right to the edge there. So when you pull the tape off, it's like the white paper into the white. Sometimes I just let these things kind of wet in, see how it softens in. Softens in. Okay. Got that going. Try to get some of that paint under the tree, the plant, I guess. Okay. I'll see what I've got. I can use across the bottom here. Mix some Payne's Gray into my purple. Sometimes you can get some texture with a piece of plastic too. Just kind of scratch it up a bit. Make it look like what it is. Tall grass and so forth. I'll show you how that works. You take a piece of plastic, and you could use the edge of the plastic and just score it. In other words, make some dents in there so when you do this, the paint will settle into some of those scratches. We'll see how that works. I hope it shows up. Yeah, you can see some of the scratches in there. Could be like vines or something. Okay. I'm going to take a little bit of my sepia. It's a darker brown, very dark brown. And we'll put some of that in there. And go along the contour of the ground here. Dark up and through here. Now you can spend a while if you wanted to match your colors exactly. You could spend a little bit more time than I'm doing to mix the colors. Kind of interesting across here. Okay. Now we can take some of this color here. You can also push that up into the texture of the plant. Work that in. Now, if I get too close up into there, if that's still wet, that's going to get a little bit smudgy in here. Sometimes you have to experiment a little bit, see what's going to happen. I'm going to score this a little bit more, see if I can get some lines to come out a little darker. Just a piece of plastic. I'm just cutting into the paper. Now you can use this paper also kind of as a scraper too to get the texture that you're looking for. You might be able to use the side of the plastic. I use this a lot sometimes when I'm doing mountains and rocks and so forth, especially you know, along the shore, you know, you're doing a painting, like a seascape or something, and you want to show some of that texture, you can do that. Okay, it's interesting texture. Just pushing and pulling the paint around. Now you may find that if this is a little bit wet into wet, see where that's spurting there? Yeah, you might have a little bit of a problem with that. And so sometimes you have to kind of say, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I don't want to see too much of that. So you you can take some of it out. Take some of that color if it's running. If you don't want that to work that way, that's like the paint spreading. And you get a lot of that when you're painting flat on the table. So you can break that up with some water. Just kind of change that a little bit. Yeah. I'm doing it a little bit different from what you see in the picture. I'm getting a different color too. Much different. Take some of that out of there. We'll quiet that down in there. And let's see if we can get something going over here. I got some paint that ran, so what I do is just pull that out. Now sometimes I turn my paper around if it makes it convenient and turn it on its side to get the push and pull that I want, up and down, and turn it back and look at it. It's sort of like that effect. See what's happening in here? That's kind of running out a little bit, isn't it? Getting some of the yellow mixing with the blue, you get a sort of a greener color. You get a little bit of green off there. That's okay. I'll just pull some of this out. Now I'm certainly getting some sort of an effect here. Probably getting a speckly here. And what we want to do is kind of spread these clouds out a little bit more. I'm certainly not copying the picture, you can say that. I'm not getting this. If I was trying to copy it, I'm not doing a good job of it. I might get something better. It might be. I don't know if it's better or not, but anyways. Make that a little bit bumpy over across here. Okay. Kind of interesting what's happening here. Okay. Now what we want to do, we might want to get some more pink back into here. So I'm going to kind of lighten it up and see if I can drop some of that pink back up into here and over in here. Let's get some pink over there. See what I can do. I think probably I want to use a little bit more of that alizarin crimson. I don't know if I could get some of that pink back in it. Oh, that's too bright, too dark. Let's flip that out. I didn't want to make it that, I didn't want to get it that much red. So, pull some of that away. Having fun with the sky here. So like that's kind of interesting in there. Ground's interesting. Some wild stuff going here. Really wild. Okay. Now, I don't know if I should try to use a fan brush or not. I don't know if that's going to have any effect at all. Sometimes you can use a fan brush to make, like grass in there. I need a little bit more paint. Yeah, we could try some things. Maybe I could do something with a fan brush with a bush. Get some textures, a lot of little bushes around the base of the tree here. And some more on this side. Kind of fill it in a bit. Do a little tapping with a fan brush. Get some of the effect. I think it's a little darker in here. Okay, let's come across here a bit. And break that up a little bit in there. Well, I was seeing what I could do with the fan brush. Okay. Oh, now. The sky is interesting, though. It's not exactly what I was probably trying to get the effect of. A little bit of a blur there. If I take some of that out, you can soften the edges. Looks like a stain, spill something on there. But you can soften the edges a little bit there. This is coming out okay. It looks pretty good in here. We'd put a little bit more pink. A little bit more red. Just a little bit in here. Whoops. I get too much, don't I? Pull that back. When it dries a lot lighter than this too. Sometimes you can't let that bother you too much. Even get some color on get some reflection of the skylight on the cactus plant here. Okay. We get some interesting effect here. Now, if I can come back, fill this in a little bit more. We're trying to get the, usually when you have a real bright background, you get all that special effect. See what we can do here. Use the brush to pick up some of that paint in here. Take some of the edge off. Now with this type of painting, you certainly can jump around a little bit. When you're painting, you know, you can move around different areas. Looks pretty good. Now, once this dries, I can come back into it and I can make things a lot darker with the marker. And but the only thing with markers, permanent markers, you can't really use them when the paper's wet. They don't work. But that's what you can do with the markers. You have to come back in a little bit later down the road, and then you can put the markers on. And the only thing what I would do here is fill in. I could do it with paint probably, and fill in some of these light areas I have on the plant, right up and through here. Kind of work on that. Yeah, kind of just fill it in a little bit more. But the thing is that I want to come in a little bit stronger across here. That's what's happening in the photograph, right in through there. So I might want to take some of that red, use some of my yellow. I got a brighter shade of red here, makes a nice orange. And I'm using up quite a bit of the area there. So use an extra palette I have. Take some of that color. Maybe a little bit more yellow. And we're going to put a nice stronger orange color into here. Okay. Now, if I left it the way it is now, it would do funny things. But what we have to do is kind of spread it out and kind of blend it right across through here. And let that go right out to the edge. Just kind of pull it through there. See how that kind of draws your attention a little bit more. Okay. Put some more color through there. I take some of that edge off. Soft edge there. You can leave some of it a little bit stringy, but not much. Then we want to go through here. Come out over here. That could be much softer. Changes a lot. Changes everything quite a bit. Now we're getting a little bit on the heavy side here. And I might have to come back later and work some of this out. The beauty of watercolors, you know, you can start something, and if you want to change it, you can change it by just wetting the paper again, reactivating the paint. Not all paints you can reactivate it, the color. And what you can do with that, especially get some little dabs up there. I think next time I'm going to do another pointillistic type of painting, maybe a floral, and use Q-tips and do a picture of what they call pointillism or dottilism, I guess. I don't know. All it is little specks anyway. See how that works out. Okay. Now this looks kind of funny in through here. I think this particular plant is slimmer. I got mine a little bit too, maybe a little bit too thick there. And I think we can, I probably can't do it with a can't use the markers until later on when it's drier. But that, we can kind of doctor it up a little bit more as we go along. Now, I don't know if I'm getting the effect of what that is. I think down in through here, this photograph is much lighter. This is sort of like a little bit of blue sky coming through there. I don't know if I can do that. Whether I can get some more blue back in there or not. Not right now, anyways. Take some of those edges off. Well, I don't know. Gotta practice skies, huh? Do a little bit more. Open it up a little bit more. I think sometimes you have to let certain areas dry too before you apply another color. Now this is a little bit on the dark side, but I think probably overnight, after it dries out a bit, I think it will be a lot better color-wise. I think the biggest problem, it seems like my cactus plant is a little bit too thick compared to the picture. Just cut it down a bit in through here. Okay, that's getting to be quite a noticeable water stain right through here. You can erase some of that, take some of that out, anyway on this side. You want to see, you want it softer. Now, I think what I'm going to need to do on this picture is come back and do a little bit more with the colored markers. Just kind of sharpen it up. I can't do it right now because it's too wet. Can't use a marker in there. Okay. All right. Well, I don't know right now. I'd like to just have that stretch out a little bit more across through here. I hope this looks better in the morning. Take a look. There's something wrong in there. I didn't create the illusion of distance in there. Yeah. Well, okay. I'm going to just, for now, I'm going to take the tape off, and hopefully it pulls off fairly easy. At least it will clean up the edges a little bit more. I got the tape pretty good now, so I can manage to take it off a little bit better than when I first started out. I went around the edge a little bit there. But anyhow, I think that will look better in the morning. And if it doesn't, we'll do another one. But I think, you know, sometimes I think it's because of the shape of the plant. I think it's a little bit wider than the picture. I don't know if that makes a difference. Now, another thing too, I think this is kind of vague what's going on in there. And I think that's got to be cleaned up a little bit more. In the photograph, right across through here, there's a definite foreground here, and then it recedes back there. And I think probably I've got to rework some of the clouds in through here to create the depth. Right now, I don't have a feeling that this goes back very far through here. So that's definitely got to be worked over a little bit. And I almost feel as if the cactus plant that I have is a little bit on the bulky side, and it should probably have been a little bit thinner in through here, tape it in through here a little bit more. But and the sky, to get the same effect, mine looks kind of just flat, smudgy things. And what I was trying to do is get a little bit more of that broken up, powdery cotton ball effect with some of the clouds. That gets a little bit tricky. I'm quite sure this is this is a picture that probably will look better in the morning. And maybe I'll be able to see it better, I don't know, looking at it. But they usually come out a little bit lighter, and this definitely needs to be filled in a little bit more of a solid, like a real strong silhouette. Because when you have a bright background, a very overwhelming background, these things come out more of a silhouette, like what the camera does. And mine didn't quite have that effect. But I've got to rework some more texture in the sky. So what I'm going to do, we'll see what this looks like in the morning, and then I'll come back, touch it up, and bring it back next week and show it to you, see if it looks better, okay? So I think I'm running out of time, so brushes up, and we'll see you again next time, okay? Take care.